Let's start at the bottom of the industry, which is the retailer, the one who sells the alcohol to you and me. There are off-premise retailers and there are on-premise retailers. Off-premise retailers, the ones like liquor stores, convenience stores, places where you go to buy alcohol, not to consume it there, but to take it home or take it somewhere else. They've actually been doing very well during this pandemic, extraordinarily high sales. But it begs the question of why. And the answer, because the on-premise retailers, the restaurants, the hotels, the nightclubs, the bars, even the large mass audience venues, the arenas, the music halls, the stadium where you may see a concert or a sporting event, they're not open and they're not selling alcohol. And as a result, those on-premise retailers are being hurt very badly. Their sales have declined in many instances anywhere from 65 to 68% relative to a year before. So that's the retail tier. But you can see how on the manufacturing level of the industry, companies that manufacture products like high-end, premium, super premium, luxury products, those are typically enjoyed in on-premise venues. You go to a restaurant to celebrate a special event. You're in a skybox at a stadium watching a sporting event or a musical concert. You're enjoying some luxury premium beverage. Well, those venues are closed now. So the manufacturers who produce those venues, they are experiencing a difficult time selling because there's not as much demand for their products. And then that middle level, the wholesale distributor who carries the products from the manufacturer to the retailer, to the extent that those employees, the drivers, the warehousemen, they become infected with COVID-19, they can't work, that directly impacts the distribution chain and the ability to get product from the manufacturer to the retailer, to you and me. And so as a result, even though there may be some particular aspects of the industry that are seeing increased sales above normal, overall the industry is in a severe state of disruption.
So then what can some of these different segments do to try and mitigate their losses?
That is really the most paramount question of the day. And the answer is they're somewhat limited because they need the support of government. As many of your viewers probably know, the alcohol industry is one of the most heavily regulated industries in the world because it's a very volatile product, because it generates a lot of tax revenue, because it has a storied history. For these and a lot of other reasons, governments take a great deal of attention in their regulation of the industry. And so at a time like this, governments have the ability to adjust rules, to relax regulations in order to help the industry if they choose to do it. But that's not an easy choice because they do have to balance the science and the medical necessities of safeguarding the populace with the economic realities that are going on in the marketplace and the need to try and help industries like the alcohol industry stay afloat. That balance.
Richard, with that being said, then, what sort of support is the government already giving the industry, and what else do they need?
Well, there are examples in certain jurisdictions, in certain states, and even in certain nations where governments have been proactive. For example, in the United States, more than 30 states have taken the step to change some of the alcohol restrictions to relax them and make it easier for on-premise retailers to try and generate revenue that they previously have been shut off from because of COVID-19. This is part of what's commonly referred to as the cocktails to go program. The notion that a retailer, they can't have people come in and enjoy a meal or enjoy a cocktail. Technically, their license doesn't allow them to sell alcohol to go, but for this pandemic period, the governments are saying, we will let you do this, sell cocktails to go under certain circumstances so that you can generate some revenue to keep employees on staff, to continue paying taxes, to stay in business. Now that's an example sort of on a micro level because it does vary from state to state and a lot of politics is involved with that. On a macro level, the number one thing that governments can do and which industries need is leadership at the top. As long as this pandemic remains in place, industry is going to be handicapped. So it's important for government leaders to take the initiative and demonstrate strong leadership, mandating those tactics, those measures, those actions that will help to reduce the pandemic's impact on industries like the alcohol industry. That's really, really important. And I would say another thing that's important for countries like the United States, like China, like the European Union, is to stop the trade war tariffs, the retaliatory tariffs that are being imposed on the alcohol industry. They've been tremendously disruptive to the industry. They're very hurtful to particular industry members, most of whom, if not all of whom, have nothing to do with the underlying trade disputes between these nations. So I would say, in addition to strong leadership in fighting the pandemic, there's also a need to think logically and rationally about trade policy and to avoid imposing retaliatory tariffs on industries like the alcohol beverage industry that have nothing to do with the trade disputes at issue.